Hey Beef Snobs, it's Ed Link, Chief Beef Snob at Barham's Ozark Beef, and I have here with me a couple of very small tri-tip. And so I thought, man, I'm going to thaw these out and cook these tonight for the family, and why not do a video about it? So I haven't done these before, so I hope you enjoy it, hope you learned something. So first thing I did was I grabbed these and thawed them out. They're almost to room temperature, not quite, but they're pretty close. And so I've got the oven on for 300, and so I'm going to season these and put them in the baking container here, then put them into the oven. So what I've got here is it's called Townsend Spice and Supply, the John H. Burgess Steak Seasoning. This is a guy here locally in Conway, Arkansas, who makes this. He came out to the farmer's market and we traded out spice for some beef, and I thought it was a pretty fair trade. So basically I'm just going to use that. There's some salt, and there's obviously other flavors in here, so I'm not even going to use any salt or any pepper. I'm literally just using this rub, and that is it for the tri-tip. I've done this with just salt and pepper. I've done this with salt and pepper and whatever else I could think of. So it doesn't necessarily have to be there's no specific way to cook any meat, really. I mean, people like their meat how they like their meat, so I'm not going to tell anybody how to do what, but I'm just going to show you what I'm doing today, and then hopefully it spurs some ideas on the next time you cook some tri-tip or steak or anything else with your family. So I've got these seasoned pretty well, and so what I'll do is I'm going to bake these until they get to a certain temperature. Now I have one of these, what's called the Weber iGrill, and I highly recommend this. It's got options for 4 probes on here. Obviously I'm only using 2, and that way I can cook to the desired temperature that I want to cook to. And it's got an app on it where it'll alert me when it's about 10 degrees from my desired temperature. And so I will go ahead and place these in here and find that center point. And then I will be ready for to get these things cooked. And after we put them in the oven, I will sear them on every side to get a little bit of a crust, and then we'll be ready to serve. So I'll catch you after I get this thing in the oven for a little while and get started. So when I put these in the oven, one of the things I wanted to show you that I think is pretty cool, I've got my tri-tip here. So I'll put it in, and then now I've got these cords hanging out, and I can put this right here, and it stays on there pretty good. Well, it usually does. Of course, I'm on camera, so it's going to slide. But it lets me see what the temperatures are between the 2 thermometers. So 56 right now for that one, 59 for the other one, 60, so it's already going up. So I can just post that there, and it's good. And on my phone, it will alert me whenever it gets up close to, I think I've got it set for 130 degrees. So I'll be back in just a few. All right, so I just took both the tri-tip out of the oven. Both of them had reached that 130 internal temperature that I was aiming for, so it had that medium to medium rare cook temperature to it. And I don't mind going a little bit more rare here because I know I'm going to put it on the skillet and sear it, and it's going to cook even a little bit more here in just a minute. One thing to also keep in mind is I pull these out at 130, and this is reading 134 on one of them and 131 on the other. So it does still cook a little bit more once you pull it out of the oven. So just be wary of that whenever you are cooking, so you don't overcook these and end up with something that's well done when you're hoping for medium or medium rare. So here in a minute, we'll get the skillet fired up, and we'll sear these bad boys. All right, so we're gonna put I've got some sesame oil. I don't know if there's a big difference between all these, to be quite honest. I'm not a professional cook. But we'll put some sesame oil on here, and we'll sear it in this bad boy here. Get around the edges. I'll fire it up. We'll let it heat up, and then we'll get to work. Everything's heating up pretty well. Feels pretty hot to me, and so we're going to go ahead and put the first one on here. Oh yeah. So I usually let it sear 30 to 60 seconds. I don't want it to be on there too long because it will cook a little more than I want it to. Now it's probably been 7-8 minutes since I pulled them out of the oven and then searing them, maybe 10 minutes. So it gives them a chance to cool off a little bit, let those juices even back out before we put it to sear. So I will do these. I'll do this one with you guys, then I'll turn it off so y'all don't see me sitting here looking at a piece of meat. And you'll get a little bit of smoke, which I think that's kind of a good thing. And tri-tip's called a tri-tip because it does have 3 edges. So you really do have to sear it on 3 sides with the tri-tip. And then maybe on at least one of the ends. One of the ends is pretty thin, so you don't necessarily, I don't think, need to sear that side of it. But this one fat end, I'll stand it up and sear it. Man, these are good. And tri-tips, very diverse. I mean, you can do what I've done with them. I hear a lot of people smoking them, put them on the grill. So it's a nice cut of meat that I think is maybe an underrated piece of meat, which is great because, you know, we'll sell at the farmer's market, and we'll sell all of our chuck roast, arm roast, brisket, everything's gone except the tri-tip. So a lot of times we're eating tri-tip or even the beef short ribs are another one that I think people sleep on. Because they're great as well. I actually do something pretty similar with beef short ribs, minus the searing. All right, let's go ahead and put on this third side here. I might have to hold it for this one. On some of your bigger tri-tips, they'll actually stand on their end pretty easy. This one's, like I said, relatively small compared to some of the other ones I've cooked. It's getting there. I could probably use the pan to do the same thing instead of holding it. That may be the smarter thing to do. All right, and then that one little end there. Try to trap all those juices and flavors in there. All right, and I've got a clean plate over here sitting off to the side. So I'm going to put that one on there. Then I'll let it rest for, I don't know, 10 minutes. I love that sound. But I'll let it rest for a good 10 minutes before, you know, eating, and it's good. And I'll give you a review too. You know, I put quite a bit of rub on there, probably more than I normally do. And you know, I've cooked this way before, but not a lot. So I will definitely share with you guys the results here in just a minute. All right, so we've let them rest now for a good 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right down the middle of one of them, and so you can get an idea of what it looks like in the middle. So I can also see what I've done here. That looks pretty good there. Look at that. Yes, sir. So that's the smaller of the two. So let's get into the biggest of the two. We see a lot of juice. Yeah, that looks good to me. That looks good to me. I don't know what you like, but I think I'm gonna like this. All right, so I'm gonna do a taste test here in just a second. But I'll point it towards me so you can see the reaction on my face versus just my voice. So stay tuned. All right, so here we are about to take one bite of the tri-tip. Do a little bite, so don't chew a whole lot on camera. The seasoning's good. Definitely tender, definitely juicy. I'm all in on this. Can't wait to share with the family. So your total cook time, hour and 15 minutes, somewhere there, maybe hour and a half with all the waiting, you know, to let everything rest. Very minimal ingredients. I mean, I could have just done pepper and salt. I went ahead and did a rub, which I thought was, it's good, it's tasty. That guy's rub is good. I'll try to take a picture of that bottle and put it on the website. But man, I love some tri-tip. This is good stuff for me. Of course, having Barham's Ozark beef kind of helps. You know, we're a little bit spoiled on being able to use that meat for pretty much everything we do here at our house. But you too can also cook with some of the best ingredients around, and go to beefsnob.com and look to purchase one of our samplers, or a quarter, or even a half beef. We'll start firing up the farmers market in April, and love to see you guys come out there and visit us. We'll set up every now and then here in Conway. Last weekend we're at Haynes Ace Hardware, and actually where I bought that thermometer, the Weber iGrill, I bought that at Haynes Ace Hardware, so definitely go check that out. And man, it makes it hard to overcook, which is good because I've overcooked plenty since I got into this. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave any comments or suggestions below, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.